Hey everybody, Attorney Somm here. Welcome back. In today's video, I'm discussing when to open that bottle of wine. Certainly the vast majority of wines can be opened right away. It's only collectible wines that actually improve with age and are wines that you'd want to consider aging before you open them. Several things happen with these wines, and while you can open them early, it's a bit of a shame to do so because they do get better and they do improve. Especially the red wines will have a lot of oak in tannins when they're young, but as they evolve, these tannins and the oak characteristics will integrate and the wine will become more harmonious. It will also develop tertiary characteristics and additional complexity. So to get the wine at its full potential or its apex, you definitely want to age it. But then of course the question becomes, how long do you age it? This will vary by wine. If you're unsure, you can look up the wine in Cellar Tracker and check some of the recent notes from people who have tried that wine. Oftentimes they'll provide some indication as to whether or not they thought the wine was in its drinking window or needed more time. They may also provide some aeration recommendations. You could also do things like check some tasting notes from wine critics. Oftentimes those include recommended drinking windows, or the producer's website could have technical sheets that provide some guidance as well. Lastly, periodicals such as Wine Spectator will oftentimes have grids or cards that show a variety of different vintages for each particular region and whether or not a particular vintage should be either drunk, held, or whether it's optional. And so those are all things that you can consult if you're unsure. The best approach is for you to try these wines at a variety of stages in its life cycle so that you can determine for yourself when you best like a certain wine. And this is going to vary by wine as well. For Chateauneuf de Pape, they oftentimes show well young, but then they also improve with age. Certainly wines like Priorat, Burgundy, Bordeaux, Northern Rhone, Barolo, Barbaresco, these wines all benefit from substantial age. So if you're drinking a top wine from one of these regions, you're most likely going to want to age it for a long time, perhaps 15, 20 years or more. Or alternatively, you'll want to try to source some of these wines in the secondary market when they already have some age on them so you don't have to wait quite so long. One of the best things that I did to learn this for myself was to organize a bunch of tastings with friends around a certain theme. For example, we could have Bordeaux from 1982, Northern Rhone from the 1990s, things of this nature, so you get an opportunity to try some wines with some age on them from a variety of producers. You could also seek out wine dinners by certain producers where they offer a vertical, where they'll have wines from a bunch of different vintages, and you can try them over the course of the evening. So that's another great tip and a way that you can determine that for yourself, even if you don't have a big collection with all those wines in your cellar. Of course, if you are a person who enjoys opening the wines early, you may not be getting the full benefit of these wines. A lot of the wines when young will have dominant primary fruit and also characteristics of oak. So if that's what you're experiencing, you could probably save some money by purchasing wines that were more intended for earlier consumption and which may cost quite a bit less. And of course, with respect to your personal purchases, one approach that I recommend is if there's a producer that you know you like, you can buy the wines in quantity from a particular vintage and then open them up every year or so for a number of years. At that point, you'll have a track record as to that particular wine as to when you liked it best. And that will be able to influence your decisions on when to open it going forward. And of course, this mostly applies to red wine, but certainly there are white wines and even champagne that benefit from aging as well. In the case of white wines, things such as Riesling, especially from Germany and Alsace in Austria, and then of course some Chardonnay, especially from Burgundy, but even some California Chardonnay benefits from at least some time bottle aging. But typically that doesn't require as much bottle aging as the red, and so there oftentimes you're talking about 5 to 10 years in most instances, although certainly there are some very age-worthy white wines as well. For champagne in particular, it definitely varies by individual whether or not it's worth aging or not. I know certainly in the case of myself, I definitely enjoy champagne with some age on it, especially Dom Perignon. I also have some good friends who enjoy champagne just as much as I do, but they do not like it with age, and so they tend to drink it when it's relatively fresh, or certainly within the first 10 or 15 years after release. Then the question becomes, okay, great. So I have this wine and it's within its drinking window and it's nearing its apex, but then when should I open it? Should I wait for a special occasion? Should I open it on a Friday night? Should I have it with dinner? When's the best time? Of course, this is largely a personal decision, and this is supposed to be fun, so I would just say do what makes you happy. However, if you're wondering about my personal opinion, I've often found that I don't typically enjoy opening up tremendous life-changing, collectible wines that I've been saving for a long time, either on special occasions or with dinners, oftentimes because it's too distracting. If there's a dinner, oftentimes the wine will tend to go too quickly because you're pairing it with a certain course. You're also distracted by the food and can't fully appreciate the wine. Similarly, if there's a special occasion and people are celebrating, you'll oftentimes be distracted by the festivities, and those again will all detract from the wines. So certainly for those occasions, I like to open very nice wines, but perhaps not the best wines of your collection or wines that you've been aging and looking forward to opening for a long period of time. In my experience, some of the best times to open these collectible wines that you've been saving for a long time is either a Monday night or just any night when you can focus on it and not be distracted by other things around you. It's extremely fun and rewarding to just open the bottle and see how it evolves over the course of the night. Or if you're doing it with friends, you could have each of you open a bottle that's special and pretty comparable, and then just enjoy comparing them over the course of the evening without distraction. Certainly you can get some food delivered and have that on the side if you need to, but it won't be the focal point then, like it would be at an expensive meal at a Michelin restaurant or the like. But again, the guiding rule should be just whatever makes you happy and whatever's fun for you. I'm just sharing my personal experience to the extent that's useful. Thanks very much for watching. Please go ahead and smash that like button and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next one. I come out with wine-related videos at least once a week. Until then, drink well.